Okay, Andy, Warren, Stuart Watson in the away end at the Wham Stadium, and about an hour ago there were some really joyous scenes in this away end, jumping around, and that's because Connor Chaplin and maybe somebody else as well have fired their team to a 2-0 away win here. Should we start with the second goal, Stu, and who scored it, and then we can move on from that?
It's a bit of a mystery still, isn't it? Even now, an hour after the final whistle, we still don't know who put the icing on the cake for Ipswich Town today. 87th minute, Connor Chaplin makes himself half a yard edge of the box, gets his shot away. It clearly hits somebody on the way through to finding the bottom corner. Wasn't sure who. Chaplin runs off celebrating. The rest of the Ipswich team run off in his direction. Officially, it goes down as a Wes Burns goal. And I'll let you pick it up from here, because you then speak to Connor Chaplin post-match.
Yeah, and Connor Chaplin very keen to claim this goal. He changed this game, no doubt about that, whether he scored this goal or not, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But he called up Wes Burns on FaceTime and eventually managed to get Wes to admit that he has no claim on the goal. There's a theory that Freddie Ladapo's backside helped as well, but I don't think anybody's buying that by the sounds of things. But it all adds up to a 2-0 away win, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, there's a nice picture of Freddie Ladapo wagging a little finger at Connor Chaplin to say, no, last touch is off me. Off the backside is the claim there. So I'm sure at some point this week the dubious goal panel will have their ruling on that one. But it doesn't matter, Andy, because they've won at Accrington Stanley. Whoever got that goal, Ipswich have come to what has been a bit of a bogey ground for them in recent years, and they've won. And I'll be honest, I thought it was pretty comfortable in the end. This is a shadow of the Accrington sides that we've seen in recent years. There was no big Ross Sykes at the back. There's no Colby Bishop up front. There's no Harry Pell. We kind of whipped ourselves up into, this is going to be Burton again. They're going to be under the cosh. This is a big physical test. It wasn't really that. And although it took a while to get the goals, I kind of always felt this game was there to be won, and win it they did.
Ipswich had to wait for that first goal, and when it gets to 76 minutes, you're beginning to think it might not come actually, but it did, and remarkably, we saw it in the Barnsley game last weekend that probably the two shortest Barnsley players on the pitch managed to score from corners, and it wasn't a header from Connor Chaplin, but somehow completely unmarked Connor Chaplin from a Lee Evans corner has managed to kind of hook or lever the ball into the back of the net, and once the first one went in, you always felt Ipswich were going to be comfortable today. There's Accrington, they do what they do. It was still an approach that's similar to what we've seen in the past, but Ipswich dealt with that all a lot easier. Cameron Burgess, I thought, played really well. I think we were both impressed with him today, and everything that came their way, they pretty much dealt with, didn't they?
They did, yeah. It took a while for Ipswich to get going today, and Kieran McKenna admitted afterwards that Accrington tactically didn't set up how he thought they would. Bit of a surprise, I think, when Caden Jackson was named as the lone striker. The debate was, is it Freddie Ladapo off of his first goal in midweek against Northampton, or is it Ghassan Ahadmi, who's in form, arrived on deadline day? Jackson wasn't really in the kind of conversation when we were predicting this lineup, but it was him back at his former club. McKenna's reasoning was that he felt that Accrington go man-to-man, that they would leave space in behind, and that would suit Jackson's pace, and they didn't really sort of set up that way, and Jackson ran around a lot, plenty of energy, but didn't really get much of a sniff in the final third, and it was a bit of a nothingy first half. Took a while for Ipswich to get going, but they grew into it. Morsey fired well over from a good position. Wes Burns clipped one over the goalkeeper, but it was hacked away off a line by a backtracking defender. Second half just started to show signs of getting more and more on top, forcing plenty of corners. Caden Jackson did eventually streak in behind, but fluffed his lines a little bit with the goalkeeper out of position, and that's when you start to think 70th minute mark, is it going to be one of those days? But Kieran McKenna's got weaponry on the bench and he turned to it.
Yeah, that was Jackson's last act of the game almost, and Ladapo came on at that point, and quite subtly he changed what Ipswich were doing, because he's that much more comfortable with the ball coming to his feet, laying it off to somebody else, and that just got Ipswich moving that little bit more in the final third, and just gave them a platform to play a bit more. And Chaplin, you always feel like Connor Chaplin's got a goal, because that's what he does. He's a sniper, and he's come up with one. And from that point on, Ipswich well in control, and the second killed it off completely. The scenes in the away end were great. Like Chaplin, maybe a bit of the showman qualities that we've talked about that Bersan Salina have brought. He brought a lot of that today, and just showed a club that's in a really good place between its team and the fans, because that was really, really nice to watch from our vantage point over there.
Yeah, Ipswich Town, 4 straight away league wins at the start of the season. First time ever in this club's history that has happened. So that is quite a remarkable statistic. What are we at now? 2 draws and 5 wins. Back to the top of the table. It's been a very nice start to the season for Ipswich Town. Can they continue it? Cambridge United, the visitors to Portman Road next weekend.